All right, I have been asked to do number 8, so I'm going to try this. Let's see how this works out. All right, so the first thing I have to do is draw a compass. So let me draw that compass right here. So again, as I mentioned in class, make it big enough so that you don't have to uh, worry about cramming it in little space. If you make it small, it's going to be a problem. So make it big enough so you can put things around it, inside it, over it, under it, all that labeling. All right, so the first thing is we have a couple of ships. Ships A, I'll do that in color red right there. It leaves the port at 9:30 a.m. with a bearing of north 17 west. That's basically gonna be this way. So label that dot. Let's see, labeled right here. Label that dot 9:30 a.m. just to see, um, just to give details to it. And then we got to figure out exactly how much did you sail, how many miles did you sail. So to do that, we got to figure out, well, first of all, let's label northwest. So we know that this is north, obviously, and this is west. So northwest is someplace in this corner. Now, I often have issues with where to label the angle 17. So listen carefully. This is northwest. Northwest is coming from this end and this west, so that direction is in this corner. So that direction begins from the north side, going toward west. So think about it. Here's the north, go toward the west side, so it's going to be this arc. So that arc, that angle is what 17 degrees is. So now we got to figure out what that distance is. How many miles did you sail? So I'm going to do this in red ink here. We always do this red, the R for rate, time, and distance. So the rate is given to us as 12 miles an hour. So this is 12 mph. T is time. So from 9:30 till 3:15 p.m., how many hours is that? So, and this is what I tend to do, 9:30 until 10 o'clock. That's basically half an hour. So that's 0.5 hours. And then from 10 o'clock till 3 o'clock, that is, let's see, 10, 11, 11, 12. So 5 hours, I believe. And then from 3 o'clock until 2:15, that's 15 minutes, which is basically the same thing as 0.25 hours, a quarter of an hour, basically. So if you add those numbers up, you should get 5.75 hours. Okay, so label that 5.75 hours right here. Then to find the distance, we simply take the rate and time and multiply them together. And so you will get exactly 69 miles. So now we know exactly how many miles ship A sails. I'm going to label that 69 miles right here. So now we know everything about the first ship, and I'm also labeled this as 3:15. That's the time right there. So now I change my color ink to different color. So now let's do ship B, same idea. So it leaves at 11 a.m. from the exact same port, right? So the exact same port right here. So label that time for the blue one as 10 or 11 a.m. I guess. 11 a.m. All right, so north, or in this case, it's east-north. So this is east. So east-north, so be careful. It has to be someplace in this quadrant. So then where do you put the angle of 48? Well, you have to go from the first letter to the next letter. So it starts from east and you work your way toward north. So that little arc tells you the bend is going to take. So that's 48 right there. Okay, so now let's do another. You have rate, time, and distance for the blue, which is the ship B. So the rate for ship B is 10 miles an hour. So this is 10 mph. The time, it goes from 11 a.m. until 3:15 p.m. So 11 a.m. until 3:15 p.m. So do the same thing over here. So you have, it starts at 11 until, let's say, 3 p.m. So that's 4 hours. And then from 3 o'clock till 15, that's a quarter of an hour, which is the same thing as 0.25 hours. So now you have, if you add those up, you get 4.25. So then time is 4.25 hours. So to find the distance, we simply multiply them together. Keep in mind, distance is literally rate times time. So now if you multiply it out, I have 42.5 miles. So I'm going to label it right here. So this one is, I probably should have done it someplace else, but that's 42.5 miles right there. Now, the question says, how far will they be apart at 3:15 p.m.? Well, we now know that both right there, so that's for the red, for the ship A, that's for ship B. If you multiply, if you take those two endpoints, connect them, so that is the distance you want to find. How many miles are they apart? So from the ship A to ship B. So if you think about this triangle, it looks familiar. So if you redraw that triangle here, you don't have to, but just to make it a little bit more neater. So that's 69 miles right there. Oops, let me just make a little bit. And the other side is 42.5 miles. And then you want to find this angle. Now, this angle is what they call included angle. Why? Because if you remember, the two given sides, they connect to make that angle. So that angle is what they call the included angle. And so we have to know what that angle is. So how much is that angle? Well, we already know that this is 17. This angle is 48. So this angle right here is literally 90 minus 48. So if you do 90 minus 48, that will give you 42. So if you can see this is labeled as this angle right here is given to us as 19 minus 48, which is 42 degrees. So to get this entire angle, we simply need to take that 17 that you see right here, take that 17, take that 42, and if you add those up, that'll give you this entire angle. And if you add those up, that will give you 59 degrees. So now we know what the included angle is. So because we have that angle, now you can easily do law of cosines. Now keep in mind, law of cosines can only be used when you have included angle, or you have all three sides. In this case, we have the included angle. So I simply set it up. The two sides that surround the included angle are the two sides that you have to square and eventually add them up. -2 will be fixed in stone, doesn't change. You multiply the -2 by the two sides again, and this time we're not going to square them. And then you multiply this by the cosine of the included angle, which is 59. So when you put this in the calculator, I would get 59.55 miles right there. And if you're wondering what the formula for the law of cosine is originally, it is this. You can revise this formula based on what's given to you in the question, but I don't typically use it. I just use my setup.